What's up, Chris Burrito? ATK, ATK. It's Camco USA Barlow. Got it off the bay for $25. What up, Forrest? I think it might be the first Barlow I've got with a lanyard hole in there. Hey, what are you doing? What'd you lose underneath of there? I'm not getting it right now. I'm doing something. Come here. He says, nope. He lost something underneath of the dresser. My crazy dog. Come here. What'd you lose under there? So this one is Blazer. He's the younger of the two. And he is turning into a little klepto. So he stole a knife off the table next to my bed. And then today, I've got one of those little wire mesh balls that Ionin made, or his wife made, one of the two. But I keep it next to my bed, and I keep a toothpick from a Swiss Army knife. I keep a toothpick kind of woven in the top of there, and then one of those dental picks, and I use it to keep those next to my bed so that if I ever need to, pick my teeth or whatever. Well, today I noticed that both of the picks were on the floor, but the little ball was nowhere to be found. Good old Blazer. Good old Blazer here. He took it out in the backyard. Realized it wasn't a very good toy to chew on since it was made out of metal. Are you guilty? Are you guilty? Yeah, I think you're guilty. What do you think? Huh? What up, Scott? All right, go get your toy out from underneath there. You go get it. Go get it. I'm not going to get it right now. I'll get it after we're done. I never got any more of these honey badgers after this one, but when I first started collecting, this was one of the first knives that I bought that was like drop shutty and had just like really good action. And now I see they're making some of these in like higher end steels and such. And I guess I didn't have much appreciation for them because the handle felt kind of cheap. But now that I've been getting some of these Spydercos with the FRN, I guess I'm starting to grow a little bit more appreciative of the lightweight. I know some people don't like the FRN. Yeah, they do. And to give it even more clout, when I went through my collection and took my modern folders down to 25, that $40 knife managed to stay in the collection. So I just finished my first full year of school. Got an invitation to be in the Honor Society. I don't remember when I was younger, you didn't have to pay for that. I think this is some kind of a different level thing in college because they wanted like $200 a year, some stuff like that. And I was like, no thanks. But I did pick up, I picked up this Barlow off of the eBay a couple weeks ago. But I also got in on that sale, even though I'm poor. I got on that Kubi sale that Big Red was talking about, and I got the Phemius and the, what's the other one called? The Darkness. So the interesting thing to me, this is the Darkness. And it's funny because this is the first one that I've kind of gone backwards. The reason I was kind of interested in the Kubis was because probably about 2 years ago I bought a Kubi Vagrant in titanium off of LTK, and he'd already taken apart on camera and did all of his stuff to it. It was one of the ones that he reviewed and then put up for sale. And so I bought that, and it ended up being one of my favorite knives. It was in my pocket of my apron anytime I was out in the shop. So it got to be a knife that I carried quite a bit. So I kind of liked them. So when I saw the sale, I was like, oh, I'll try some of the, the D2. They were deeply discounted. But it's interesting. This is the Phemius. And I kind of thought this was somewhat like Maddie's Phoenix. I like that blade. Try to get that fuller. Can't do it. Well, ATK, the one that got me going was the my next door neighbors gave me $100 gift card for watching their dogs while they were out of town one weekend, and I knew with $50 of it I wanted to get a knife, so I got an Artisan Propel in D2, and just like these, very very heavy knife. Definitely, you know it's in your pocket for sure. But it was the right knife for me. It was a good size handle, and the Propel kind of has a handle that's similar to the Gerber Paraframe. It's kind of all cut out and everything. But that was the first knife I got, and then after I got it, while I was waiting for it, I somehow stumbled upon Big Red's channel, and then Zach, I started checking out his channel, and then I bounced around. There was some stuff that I back in the day at this point. What's his name? I'll think of it here in a second. Grateful Panic. He had a channel, and I remember watching his channel. And there was a couple of others that I tried and didn't really care that much for, and so for quite a while, I mean, really, mostly I was watching a lot of unboxings on Big Red's channel, especially because like now he's got that new deal he's doing with Knife of the Month Club. But back in the day, come on, come on. Back in the day, it was the he was doing the monthly box from Smoky Mountain Knife Works. And I think for about 6 months, I signed up for that General's box from that Smoky Mountain Knife Works. And that was my first experience with premium knives. But the funny thing is out of those 6 months, 3 of those months, the premium knife that was in the box was little chodes. Was it from Italy? Was it MKM? But I got 2 of the little MKM knives, and then another knife I got that was like a little, California legal knife, and but then I got a couple of others. I think one of the first really higher end knives I got was the little tiny auto. It's something 5. But I won that from Zach stuff, and I ended up trading that for a Benchmade. Who else jumped in here? Bushcraft Rebooted, El Cap, Milton, Palmer, Budget Guy, be up. Rump 5, yes sir. And it was funny because I got another Runt 5 shortly after that in a trade with one of our friends here in the community. and I ended up trading that one off as well. I think that one I ended up trading to Branson, Mr. Branson. And I think in that trade, I ended up getting like 3 knives. I got a Megaron that he customed out a little bit and did a little bit of whatever you call it when you heat up the steel and it changes colors. But he did a little bit of that, and then there was an O knife Drever V1 that at one point belonged to another member of the community. And then I think there was a third knife in that deal, but for the life of me, I can't remember what it was. Come on. Come on, Oz. Come on. Well, I've got I got a and this SOCOM is a freaking beast. This is probably the only knife that my Benchmade Adamas was like the beast knife that I would carry around, like especially during the winter time when I wore a lot of jeans. But then I got this in a trade with Carco, and it needed a tip, so put a new tip on it. I know, yeah, the knife. This one's been getting a lot of carry. Manic's too lightweight. You know, the only problem I had with that little 5 is that for the amount of kick that it had, the dang thing was a bear to hold on to when it deployed. Well, midnight. So I'm starting to finalize the plans for going to bowling nationals in July. I think next week I'll get the hotel room and the flight set up. And then I've got a cousin out there that I'm going to hang out with for a day. And then I'm going to hang out with Demonoc for a day, or at least for a little while. One of those days. Because 2 of those days I only have like a 1-hour practice session on Thursday and Friday. And then I don't actually bowl the national portion of the tournament until Saturday and Sunday. I had a Gerber that was like, I mean, it was okay. The Gerber Auto, it was out the side. And it, like I said, it was okay. Once it was locked up, I mean, it was pretty decent. But the first thing I had to do was go through and put Loctite on everything, because everything kept coming undone on that knife. Even after, just only maybe 30 days, a lot of the hardware had to be retightened. So I eventually just took the whole knife apart and put Loctite on the whole knife. I've had a couple of Benchmade autos, and they're definitely snappy for sure. I think right now I've only got one Benchmade auto in the collection. Trying to think. Or maybe I don't. I don't have any out the fronts. I'll get there. What's up, Marty? Oh. What else is going on? This week I actually started classes for cybersecurity. After a full year of taking all those classes for the basics, general education, English and math and all that stuff. I got through all that, made the Honor Society, and now we're doing cybersecurity. So what up, Kyle? So we'll have to see how everything plays out. But as of right now, my siblings are not very happy with me because I got my mom on, she basically was like, had no cyber footprint whatsoever. So over the last 5 or 6 years, I helped her get online, and I bought her a tablet, and I bought her an iPhone, and eventually she got rid of her landline, and we got her set up on Facebook and everything. And she really, for the most part, I kind of suckered her into it because she didn't want to get involved in any kind of internet or anything. But I knew that if I could get her to start taking pictures with her phone, that she'd be hooked. And she did. And then eventually she started getting so proud of some of the stuff she was taking pictures of that she started putting it out there on Facebook. Well, now, fast forward 2024, my 75-year-old mother, who's been widowed for 15 years, is been carrying on online with some fella she went to high school with back in the mid 60s. And apparently he's also a widower and has been going solo for over a decade, from what I understand. But I've gotten messages from both my brother and my sister asking me what the heck's going on. But apparently they're planning a rendezvous. Your mom had you at 18, I think. They're going to have a rendezvous during the period over the eclipse there. So they got all kinds of fun stuff planned. I guess he's coming down here to Texas. So she's 75 and I'm 57. Make out time during the clip. Yeah. Trying to rub that out of my brain. My mom making out with anybody. Yeah. Okay. That dog's an idiot. He's just figured out that there's a shadow or a reflection in the sliding glass door. So one of my dogs has anxiety and the other one's got ADD. That's the one with ADD. Chido Montona. She clicks on everything. Yeah. Well, it's funny, you know, anytime I walk in the door at mom's house, she always has some kind of a technical chore for me. And one of the recent ones was I didn't have anything to do with putting the TV out in her shop, where she does all of her crafts and stuff. I don't know who put that in there, but there was like the TV was pretty modern. I mean, it was a little flat screen, a little 40-inch flat screen, but it had a DVD VHS player connected to it. It had an antenna connected to it. It had a switch box connected to it, and it had a Fire Stick connected to it. And I guess the TV just finally got to the point where it objected to have all the stuff connected to the system, and it just started saying that there was a hot plug somewhere in the system and that it would shut itself off. So I went in there and I was like, well, how much of this stuff can I take out? Because if she has the Fire Stick hooked up to it, then the Fire Stick goes to the DVR that we have, which is through it's a Fire DVR through the Fire Stick company. So all of that goes through there, and then the antenna goes into the to the Firebox, and then all of the Fire Sticks in the house all connect to the Firebox, so that they all have the antenna channels as well as the DVR access. So it took me like an hour and a half to get all this stuff taken apart and figured out what we could do with and what we could do without. And she didn't need half of the stuff that was connected to it, but it was, man, I started it. I'm the one who created the monster, because I set her up with with Google Fiber so that she could have TV. And now she's all the way up to like a 75-inch flat screen, and she's got a Bose sound bar. And I mean, I got her set up pretty good now. But she always pushes the wrong button. I never grew up. That's probably why I had three ex-wives by the time I was 50. But I had fun. Is anyone else in the path of totality for the eclipse? That's where I met number 3, Kyle. Sometimes it's so good you got to pay extra for the reveal. No, I was not on duty. I was a customer. You guys seem to have the wrong idea. I'm a freaking secret shopper. Oh, mercy. Well, my son moved up to Dallas a couple years ago before my granddaughter was born for work because he was working for Charles Schwab. And then, just like a lot of other finance companies, they did a big round of layoffs. So all of the young kids and everybody, who was just starting out, all got hacked. So on the plus side, he's moving back down here towards Austin, but he's hasn't been able to find work for about 6 months. So I was really doing a little bit of extra research into cybersecurity because apparently there's a whole bunch of people who got degrees in computer science. And now there's a whole bunch of people who have computer science degrees who were making some pretty good cash there for a couple years that are now all on the unemployment lines. My son said he's done close to 1,000 resumes and has only gotten a handful of interviews. And he stated that he's specifically trying to find something that's 100% remote. So he's being pretty picky right now, but I think he did pretty good on the house that they sold when they left and headed up to Dallas, because there was a big boom going on during that time. And I think he somehow got lucky and bought a brand new house, and in a matter of 36 months turned it into 75 or 80% profit on that house before they moved up to Dallas. So we'll see if he does as well on the house that they're going to have to sell in order to move back down here, because right now the market is definitely a lot different than it was 2 years ago. That interest rate has got things moving a lot more slowly. The house across the street from us was for sale for probably 3 months, and I haven't spoke to the people who have moved in last week, but um, I'm not sure if it was a sale or whether or not they decided to just rent it out, because the rent right now in Austin seems to be the thing to do. Um, we have rent in our neighborhood going for anywhere between $2,000 and $3,000 a month, and I'd say you could drive downtown in 15, 20 minutes from where I'm at. So I'm like right on the southern border of the county line for Austin, Travis County. In fact, there used to be almost no entertainment down on this side of town, and now just south of where I'm at, right on the other side of the city limits of Austin, there's been a bunch of bars and clubs and live music venues. Probably about 15 of them have popped up in the last 3 or 4 years, because once you get on the other side of the city limits, there's no sound ordinances. So all these live music places that are being pushed out of the city because of the ordinances, because they can't play past 10 o'clock on a Friday or Saturday night, are now pushing out to the edges. Right around the time that I was retiring from chauffeuring, there was a couple times I'd go to the airport early in the morning to drop people off who were taking that first flight out at 5:30. And most of the time, you would very seldom get a ride back if you turned on your apps. But for some reason, we started getting hits, and it turns out that they put in a rave club just outside of the airport grounds, because it also was just outside of the city limits and there were no sound ordinances. So this place didn't even have a liquor license. It was just all chemically infused. But it was a freaking rave club, and I was dropping people off at the airport to catch a 5:30 flight, and then we were picking people up wearing pajamas and tinfoil suits who were just getting done with their night at the rave club, and it was like totally changing gears, man. That's definitely two different people, the ones who are flying out for business and the ones who are finishing up at the rave club. You can go to hell. When I first started driving a truck, I was driving for a company out of Texas here called Stevens Transport out of Mesquite, Texas. And one of the things about driving for a company like that is they generally have a lot of stupid rules, and a lot of them are made to try and save money. Well, my company was one of those companies that when we went across the northern part of Indiana and Ohio, that they didn't have us run the toll road. They had us run Highway 6. And we called it the Pumpkin Highway because almost all the trucks that you saw out on Highway 6 were all Schneider National trucks, and they were all painted orange. So we called it the Pumpkin Highway. The other thing that was out on Highway 6 was there was a Campbell's soup factory that I picked up a bunch of times. But it was a pain in the butt because you had to go through all these little tiny towns, and there were stoplights and railroad tracks and the whole 9 yards. But the other thing, when you got up on Highway 6, up on the Pumpkin Highway, is that there was a bunch of Amish folks, and if you got stuck behind a couple of these horse and buggies, I mean, it could freaking really mess up your schedule. But the other thing you learn after going through there 4 or 5 times is if you've got a little refrigerator in your cab of your truck, that these little roadside stands that these Amish folks set up have the freaking best baked goods and freaking just freaking killer food, man. If you see one of those little Amish restaurants, man, that's really Amish for sure, pull in and freaking grub out because it's some good stuff. Toll Road in Ohio, that's all up north where the weirdos are. Dude, I can tell you from freaking 25 years driving a truck and then 10 years in the chauffeur and taxi business that there's fucking weirdos everywhere, bro. There's weirdos freaking everywhere. Um, when I used to drive for Cisco, um, there was like this serial dude that was freaking out on Interstate 70. If you headed west out of Indianapolis, um, it was the first one that actually even made me contemplate anything because, normally someone would, I've had girls come by and flash me and, different things like that. And then you end up with the guys who want to show off their wares as well. Um, it just over the years, you just see just about everything. People going at it, going down the highway. You name it. But there was a guy who pulled up alongside of me. I left out of the shop at like 3:30 in the morning, and I started my route over in Illinois, in central Illinois. Probably around 8 a.m. is when I was trying to make my first delivery. And I ran that west route twice a week. And I'd seen this guy once before. He pulled up next to me, and I just got off the freeway and went to the truck stop to get away. And he kept on going on down the highway, so I was good to go. But he pulled up alongside of me one night, and I got off the highway. Well, he freaking followed me off the highway, so I freaking got back over the ramp and freaking kept on going. And when I got home, I was telling my wife the story, and I was like, it's actually the first time that I've been afraid. And she was like, well, why were you afraid? And I was like, Jesus Christ, you should have seen the size of that thing. He was freaking using it to drive the fucking car. He had that thing up there on the steering wheel, and he had no hands, and he was just like, nyeh, nyeh, nyeh. I was like, if I was going to pull over, if that was my thing, that dude would not be the dude that I would be pulling over for. Mr. freaking Long John Silver there. Good freaking God. I don't even think there's a glory hole in the Southwest United States that would accommodate that individual. Hi, Kathleen. I pulled in. One of my things that I always did for years is I worked the late shift, the overnight shift. I drove at night because the truck stops were all full. And if you drive at night, there's a lot less traffic, so you can make a lot more, a lot better time. And one morning, right around dawn, I pulled into a truck stop and I was doing my logbook. And I think I had a spotlight on. I didn't have all the lights on in the cab. I just had a spotlight on that was pointing down at my paperwork. And I didn't even have my seatbelt off yet. But I was sitting there and I had my window about halfway down, and I felt my truck move. And then all of a sudden, this chick popped up in my window, and it scared the hell out of me. And on my seatbelt, I had a fixed blade that was about a 5 or 6 inch blade, buck. And I just reached over and I grabbed it and I swung it towards the window. And this girl fell backwards just straight away and landed flat on her ass on the freaking concrete on the side of the truck. But she just freaking scared the crap out of me, man. I was not expecting anyone to jump up on my truck at all. And usually I tried to stay away from places that were, notoriously bad because that's how Sherry. Second one. I met my second wife through my cousin. They were both working at the checkout at the local grocery store here in town. And at the time, I was dating another one of their coworkers. And number two happens to be the mother of both of my children. But number three, all right, guys. I guess we need to mosey on over and see what Mr. Wilt Chamberlain. Well, I just happen to be old enough to have grown up before all of the bad stuff started going around that you couldn't cure with just like penicillin. So I think I speak for a lot of people in my generation saying, yeah, I was definitely a hoe. I was definitely a hoe. I know a guy whose sixth wife was also his first wife. I could see how that could end up happening. But after the third one, well, actually, when I got married to the third wife, I swore at that point that if it didn't work out, that I was going to basically been the happiest I think I've ever been as an adult. Yeah. Well, I think my second wife, um, my daughter was telling me that she's been shacking up with a guy for years, and that he might be getting ready to propose. Um, and I really haven't paid any attention to what's going on with the number three. I've mostly just been like bowling and fishing and camping and collecting knives and hanging out with y'all. All right, guys. I'm going to sign off. We'll see you next week for number 11. We'll see you over at Sharif's place here in a little bit. You've been married for 39 years. Congrats, Crispy. Before my pops passed, my folks were at 37. Going strong. Take care, y'all. Peace.